Okay, let me share my screen. All right, let's talk about illicit drugs. The way this is set up is you're going to see a lot of statistics. I'll need you to go back through that and look at the statistics. I also need you to go back through and look at what each drug does, if it's a stimulant or depressant. Most of these are stimulants. They all affect the central nervous system one way or another, and they all have side effects. So make sure that you go through there and you can see which what and what does what. All right, let's jump in. So just some quick ones. About half of people 12 and older are using drugs at least once. It's about 700,000 overdose deaths because of that. And that's since 2000. So statistics are still out, right? So we're looking at about $35 billion on drug control since in 2020. So it's a serious problem. When we get to the end of the slides, you'll see I've got a slide that shows the expenses and how they're laid out, and it's a lot. So this is just on the federal budget for drug control. This doesn't count private insurance and all the other things that go in policing and all that other things. So this is just for trying to control drugs. Here's your statistics for ages 12 and older. What's kind of cool, what they did here is blue is lifetime use, green is in the last year, and used in the last month is gray. This is from 2020. These are 2020 statistics, excuse me. I know this is a busy slide, but I want to get some information out there on substance abuse with young people. So you can see the age groups in there. The issue here, right, is that there's a lot of neuromaturation going on between the ages of 12 and 25. So this is a really bad time to get addicted to just about anything that's bad for you, whether it's something as serious as heroin or something as what we think is as mild as marijuana. So this is just some statistics to inform you so you can kind of see where we're at, where trends are going. And I believe this is from 2020. So once again, the statistics don't come out every year for a lot of this. Some of them are long-term studies. So here's your college age students. So marijuana, once again, is leading the pack on this one. Close second is cocaine and hallucinogens. Matter of fact, LSD, which is a hallucinogen, is making a strong push back into the action. It was really popular in the 70s and 80s, and then it lost a little bit of flavor, and now it's back again. If you look down here at the bottom is fentanyl. Very little bit of fentanyl is being used, but it's the one that's killing people because it's of the poor manufacturing of it and potency. This is a controlled substance schedule. So if you're caught with this kind of stuff, if this is some of the legal issues that you may be facing, Schedule 1 is the worst offense, down to Schedule 5. So your legal problems decrease as your schedule goes up. But it's still bad news, right? I mean, it's any abuse of this. So if it's intent to sell, or you have so much on you that it'll be dangerous for you, then of course you can get a lot of trouble for that. Okay, so now we're going to go through the different types of drugs, and I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. So it's up to you to go back and see what it does and some of the side effects. So these are amphetamines. Amphetamines have different names. Here are the street names for them over here on the right. These are still fairly popular. However, this one, methamphetamine, is the one that really is cheap and is highly addictive. So you get some of the same central nervous system effect, only more intense with methamphetamine. I put anabolic steroids in here because it is abused and you can get in trouble for having it. This one is usually only in trouble if it's intent to sell, although it is illegal to possess it without a prescription from a doctor. This one, misunderstood. People think it gets you stronger. Steroids don't get you stronger. They help you heal quicker so that you can get back in the weight room or back, doing your performance type exercises so that you get stronger faster or whatever. So it helps you heal quicker. That's how steroids work. So you can take steroids all day long, and if you sit on your couch, you're just going to kind of get fat. So, but it is illegal to possess unless you have a doctor's prescription. Cocaine, I think many of us are familiar with, hopefully not in a personal way. Can be snorted or injected. Once again, it binds the CNS receptors and gives you a very intense dopamine release and a feel of, invincibility and elation and all that. Slows down your heart rate in tiny doses, but in higher doses, it can increase your heart rate. So cocaine is a dangerous beast because it doesn't last very long, about 10 minutes, and then you take it again. And every time you take it, you're compounding the issues with your heart and with your central nervous system. So kind of a bad deal with cocaine, and you build a tolerance to it really quickly. So you have to end up doing, crazy stuff with it, like making it into crack and smoking it. So you get a faster rise. So it's just a bad deal, obviously. So here's some designer drugs. These gentlemen on the right designed a nail polish that detects date rape drugs, Ralphenol. So it's pretty cool. Kudos on them. LSD is in on this one, and we'll look at LSD in a little bit here. In fact, right now. So I talked a little bit about LSD and its popularity. This stimulates the central nervous system, causing hallucinations. Gives this one, like I said, is making a comeback, and it's a really dangerous drug, only because, once again, this isn't made in a lab where it's, there's very exact measures. These things are being made, and people are getting really hurt by this kind of stuff because of the potency, the unknown potency of it. Inhalants is another one. Most of these obviously can be bought just about anywhere. Some of them are regulated, like most paints and aerosols, you need to be 18. But heck, if you wanted to use, Ready Whip and get high on that, you can go buy that. No one's going to charge you for Ready Whip. So examples are on the right. Typically these are the mediators between heavier drugs, so that if you can't afford, let's say, meth, you're going to do this until you can afford to get the cash to do meth, so, or whatever. Heroin is becoming a little more popular, only because of where it's been produced. Like in Afghanistan, the borders are a little bit freer because there's not as much conflict going on there. So we've seen an uptick in heroin come into the country. You can either mainline this or injecting it. Well, mainlining is injecting it. So they usually heat it up and inject it, liquefy it and inject it. So marijuana, I think a lot of people are familiar with. The psychoactive substance for marijuana is THC. The medical benefits come from CBD. So we can literally split those. So we can pull CBD out of this and use it in pill form or other forms for just the medical benefit. So we prescribe marijuana in many cases for that CBD. Here's the issue: because we've gotten really good with technology and understanding of how to grow plants, we've made THC super potent in our modern day marijuana. So if you've listened to the you've already done the assignment and you listen to the TED Talk, the guy says this isn't your grandpa's weed, and it's true. It's really potent with THC, so there's a high psychoactive substance, which makes it even more addictive. So the idea that, oh, marijuana is not that addictive, well, it is now, because we've changed the chemical structure of it and we've increased the psychoactive substance in it. So due to the potency, we don't have any long-term effects yet on the new potent stuff. However, this graphic comes from the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, of all places. And I really like it, because what they've done here is, if you look up at the legend, you have limited evidence is white. So down here is the arrow is white. Strong evidence is black, and in between is gray. So, which is really interesting, because now you can see what happens with marijuana at rest or when you exercise. So pretty cool graph. As you can see, the jury is still out on a lot of what's going on with the use of marijuana. And once again, we're looking at potency here So only time will tell. So you kind of rolling the dice with marijuana in our modern times. Opiates and narcotics. Opiates have become really dangerous in abuse because it's so readily available and cheap. So it decreases pain, but it also makes your heart rate slow down and kind of zone you out, if you will. So super addictive. This is causing lots of issues. There's anxiety and depression issues correlated with these things as well. So I want you to watch this video. You'll probably have to download the slides to do it, but this is where drugs are coming from. It's a little bit older video, so don't listen necessarily to the numbers that he throws out, but the locations and where these drugs are coming from is still accurate. So you might need to download the PowerPoint in order to see this video. Here's a economic cost of substance abuse in the United States. This is in 2019. So if you look over here, we're looking at 118 billion in healthcare costs. Productivity is at 206 billion. The criminal justice system, all of the accidents that goes along with it, public assistance, the fires that have been caused because of it, research and prevention. And then you look at over here where the society's harms, which is kind of intangible, right? Our cost of quality of life, so that people aren't going to work, so they're not productive and not contributing to society. They're stealing, all of the other things that go into that. So the estimated cost is somewhere between somewhere in the range of $3.7 trillion. So that's a lot of cabbage. So what are some of the strategies that we're trying to do to decrease the problem? Well, they've done a lot. So we've trying to educate. We've tried scare tactics. I tried to find the old video of the "this is your brain on drugs" and they fry an egg in a pan kind of thing. So they've tried that. They've tried longer prison sentences, and I think we just get better addicts and better dealers once we send them to prison. So that's really not effective. What really is effective is education. And so there's a couple of ones that I've pulled up for you. The National Institute of Health has a program called HEAL. It's called Helping to End Addiction, and they're doing tons of studies and funding other organizations to do funding on treatment for opioid misuse and addiction, as well as other drugs. So that's a good one. And then there's Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, has one called Operation Engage, and those are their 3 steps. So they're trying to work at the community level to try to get people to help not only understand the dangers of drugs, but also to help the DEA to enforce a drug policy. So anyway, there you go, my friends. We are right through illicit drugs. So please, once again, text, email me if you have any questions, and we will continue to move forward.